Hi guys, I am making another video about some of my experience being an Orthodox convert. This time is going to focus more on my experience being a single female or Orthodox convert, coming into the church without a husband and without children and without a family. So um, the intention of this video is for other women that are similar to my background, who have been secular, who have found that the Orthodox faith is correct, but potentially are scared to come in. This is for you, and it's mostly to say welcome home, and to give you some of my direct experience and some of the pitfalls to watch out for, and kind of maybe to arm the women to be prepared for what's coming, and to know that it's going to be okay and they're doing the right thing. So that said, what I have experienced is some perceptions from, let's start with the single convert men. There's a lot of single convert men, and they have a massive presence online. And it can be a little bit overwhelming because they all tend to, it seems like, think of wives or their potential wife a certain way. They have a very specific image of what they believe an Orthodox wife should look like. Again, this is what I'm seeing online from the converts. They sort of think that the women, the value comes in. This also goes with the manosphere too. I think they kind of like intertwine at some point, but there's an idea, or I get the impression anyway, that they want their wife to have a lot of babies. So that makes her a high value woman if she's younger and can have a lot of babies. If she's a good cook, if she is financially independent, right? So she will be financially dependent on that man when they get married. So she's going to be staying at home. I took some notes. Basically, she's going to follow the man. So if he makes a decision, that's her job, is to follow him. And kind of overall, it looks like a slave. It sounds a little slavey. So even though the words may sound nice, and when we're talking about the church, yes, the woman should follow the man and all those sorts of things, because as Christ loves the church, so should the man love the woman, and then the church loves Christ, so the woman should love the man like she loves Christ, and so she follows Christ, right? All of these things are what I'm seeing in the community. The biggest thing that is hitting me is the men who are saying these things and feel this way. A lot of them do not have anything spiritually to back it up. So the words may sound good, but ultimately they are spiritually lacking, and it's very obvious. And so, ladies, when you come into the church, what I'm seeing is there's going to be a push to get you to be the wife. But all of these things will be drilled into you as your job. And it can be very overwhelming and very shaming. And it feels very strange because coming from a secular world, there's an overarching vibe of, you're perfect the way you are. It's okay that you don't have children. It's okay that you've had the experience you have had. Then you come into the church and you're experiencing a massive amount of pressure to conform to a certain ideal for marriage, especially if you're single. And there's some shaming, especially the older you get. Why aren't you married? I mean, are you trying to waste your life? Why don't you have children? Your life must be meaningless. You're going to be so sad and lonely when you get older. This is horrifying for single women that come into the church, and it is very painful because it's being said without love and without acceptance and without any intention to get to know you or your background. Now, I want us to emphasize that this is not the church itself. These are people that are in the church, right? The church itself is salvific. The priest is going to be amazing, hopefully. Mine is. So I've been really blessed with my church. This also doesn't apply to the men in my church. The men in my church are extremely pious and very mature and extremely spiritually sound. They are, so this is not applying to my church specifically, but this is things I've experienced talking to Orthodox people, and it has really done a number on me when I first came in. It can also be older women that will ask you these questions. Why don't you want a husband? So for a lot of us, the reason that we're still single is because of abuse. And the men in our lives have not had respect for us. And so we've had to, in order to survive, we have had to become more independent. I've experienced some shaming of my financial independence. So because I can take care of myself, I've experienced some shaming and told that that's unattractive. So my survival in the world is unattractive. This is stuff I have heard. This is, again, people, this is not the church. This is not the love that the church offers. These are just people that are, it's like the church is a hospital and everybody in the hospital is sick. So I'm talking about the sick people and the things that you're going to start to experience. If I had not been through therapy and been doing extensive work to prepare myself spiritually and mentally and physically, I don't know that I could have withstood some of the criticism that I received upon coming into the church for being single, financially independent, a trainer. I've been told that it's too much focus on my body. So there is so much criticism. I think that potentially, and I'm used to a life outside the church. So I remember the reason I didn't like Christians was because of these things. And I was scared of these things. I was scared to be judged. Now I remember why, but this time I'm coming in a little bit older, a little bit wiser and prepared. So it seems like there's some rocks being thrown at single women that are coming into the church. A lot of pressure, a lot of judgment and shame. And as hard as it is, there isn't anywhere else to go. These people, it has nothing to do with you. Your life and your experiences have happened for a reason and make you who you are, and they're precious. And really nobody has any right to them other than you. So I guess one piece of advice I would say is to really stay quiet until you learn who you can trust about your life. And there are people you can trust. I've found that in the church, there are aunts and uncles and grandparents and teenagers, and you will find your little niche. You'll find the people that support you. And just like any other circle, there's going to be people that don't support you and that judge you. It is a big family. So whereas in secular life, you find maybe no judgment, or it seems to be no judgment because you don't follow these rules. Now that you're in, all of a sudden you have all this judgment coming at you. It's kind of another step in your journey with Christ. How much persecution can you stand? Because if you're there to find Christ, if you're there to worship, if you are there because you're presenting yourself to God, then other people criticizing or saying that you're not good enough because you don't have children or because you're not married, what are you doing with your life? That will all go away because it is you and Christ, and you are there to worship him and be closer to him and become like him. And you are made in his image, and you are precious exactly the way you came into the church. And your experiences have made you the way you are. And it's perfect the way you came in. So there's my little pedestal for that. Let me see if I had any other notes. So with the men and wanting a wife, I think what they are missing, it seems like they're in a fantasy world. They are fantasizing about what they think a wife should be. They think that it's Little House on the Prairie and they're going to be the big, strong man chopping wood, but they don't know how to chop wood because they've been in the secular culture too. So it's all a fantasy in their head of what they think and what they think they deserve. And ultimately, ladies, we should be asking God to present us the perfect partner for us. The more they have in their mind about what a perfect wife looks like, the more they're not doing God's will. They're not asking God. They're not quietly praying, Lord, make me worthy to be a husband and show me who you'd like my wife to be. That's the guy that we're looking for, right? But I don't think they see that. It's very obvious to me that I see these little boys who are in a fantasy world, and they're not spiritually sound. So if you are really wanting a life in Christ, patience in marriage and waiting for God's will is really the way to go. And it can be frustrating, especially like when you come into the church, you see all these married couples. Me personally, I do want to get married. So and then when you were secular, you were surrounded by single people and it was totally fine to be single and normal. Now you're in a community where it's not normal. Everyone has children, everyone's getting married young, and you are an oddball. It's extremely painful. And on top of that, you're receiving judgment and criticism. So the patience is such a beautiful thing to work with Christ and pray for that right person. And I've listened to Father Cosmas in Australia saying that, and sometimes it's just not meant to be. Really, we follow Christ. We follow what he wants. We pray for what we want, but ultimately it's God's will. That's the key. And whatever anybody else is saying can go to the side. We're in the right place and we're taking steps towards Christ. That's what we're supposed to do. So what a marriage should look like when we're prepared for that, when a man does present himself, really should be an adult partnership. So as a convert that is not 16 or 17, when we've had some life experience, we're adults now. I mean, we're responsible for our lives. We're looking for someone who will be our partner, who will be our best friend. And this is the way Josiah Trenum puts it, Father Josiah Trenum. It's a bonded friendship. So this is going to be your partner and your friend. There's so much respect for the other person and their free will, knowing this is another person and respecting that and not pushing. So we're looking for someone who is accepting and loving and ready to go to battle with us. There's a lot of spiritual warfare going on, especially now. And we're going through really hard times, and it's going to be hard in marriage too, especially for those of us who have never had a good relationship based on abuse in childhood and in college or whatever. We're normal people. There's a lot of hurts there. So when marriage happens, there's going to be a lot of stress. The man that we're looking for understands this and has made a commitment. Yes, I'm going to be your spiritual partner, spiritual warfare buddy. You and me to the end. We're connected. I support you. That's what we're looking for. Not these guys who say, okay, I want the traditional gender roles and you need to make babies right away and you need to cook and and that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's always been. Whereas they may not be wrong, they are without heart. And we are looking for someone with heart because we will need somebody with heart as our partner. So when you hear all of this, ladies, don't be discouraged. I'm in it with you. Okay. What I'm seeing from these men as well, the ones that the more loud they are about how women should be. And, there's a lot of shaming of single women, especially from our community. It has brought me to tears to see some of the memes shaming people, shaming women. There's a lot of shame for single women outside the church as well, making fun of liberals, making fun of their hair, making fun of their companions like their cats, making fun of them doing yoga, how stupid that is. It's almost making me cry, think about it right now. These women are our sisters in Christ, and the men that are making fun of them will have to answer for that at some point. It is not conducive to bringing women into the church. It is heartless. It is loveless. And these women are suffering. If they are in an ideology that is outside the church, they don't have the gold that we have in the Orthodox Church. And that is not something to make fun of. That is something to pray about and to be saddened, not to ridicule. I, I really am getting emotional. If there is a girl that is liberal doing yoga, this was me. And I had heard some of the things that I hear now that I'm in the church. I mean, I never would have converted, and I could have lost out on everything that I have now. I'm so grateful to be in the church, and so grateful I didn't see some of those memes while I was still out in the world. Luckily, my experience, I just came over from the research of Jay Dyer. I didn't get to see any of these. I didn't really see any of the memes or shaming or anything like that until afterwards, when I became a bigger part of the community, or I started really looking around and trying to be friends with different Orthodox people. So these women that are outside the church, do we really want them in the church? Because the shaming and the accusatory and you're going to be so sad if you continue your lifestyle, that's awful. And it's cold. And yeah, these men and women will have to answer for that. Ultimately, that's why people are not Christians. There's a reason why everyone thinks a certain way they do, dresses a certain way they do. They are doing it to protect themselves. They think that's correct. And it is not our job to shame them and hurt them and be like, I know the truth. I would have never converted. And I think that if these men are going out, I've heard the term flirt to convert. I've heard that men, oh, well, we've been told to flirt to convert, and we'll tell these women, that a lot of them, there's this idea that women are just stupid and liberal. And they're not stupid. They may have the wrong idea, but that's because that's what their parents told them. That's what school told them. That's what society tells them. They are in prison, and you're throwing rocks at them while they're in prison. You get that? So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. The men themselves that I'm seeing, a lot of them are financially unstable. They don't make their own money. A lot of them live with their mom, and they're still emotionally bonded to their mom. So if you were to get married today to some of these men who are big virtue signalers about how marriage should look, they still answer to their mom first. There is a massive need in a marriage to separate from your family unit and become the man of the household with your wife. You are now the adult. But a lot of these men are not there. They haven't taken that cut. They haven't prepared themselves. So they do a lot of talking, but they aren't actually the man they want to be. And I think that's why they're very loud in the community. So they're not financially stable. For me personally, obviously, in order to survive, I've had to build my own business. Why would I want to marry someone who still lives with their mom? Why would I give up my freedom to be under your mom? This is a big thing I'm seeing. And obviously I understand that it's really difficult out there and not everyone is able to. It's mostly the hypocrisy that I'm calling out. It's mostly the hypocrisy that I'm calling out. And then, yeah, I think that's all about what I see with men. And mostly the the imagination when it comes to having a wife and a family, and that's not based in reality. They're not actually trying to get there to make themselves that man. If that man even exists, he may not even exist. You know what I mean? Now I say all of this, there are a lot of great Orthodox men that I have met, married Orthodox men, single Orthodox men. So this isn't everybody. There is some real men that are walking with Christ and that are real Orthodox and very pious and wonderful. And most of them are at my church. Some of them I've met at retreats or at Dyer's events. Just awesome. So this isn't about all of the men. This is mostly the other ones. So, all right. Overall reception into the church. I think I already kind of touched on this, but the shaming, the judgment about being single and not having children, the judgment about my financial independence, just lack of an exception or acceptance of your past. There's a little bit of shaming if you've done anything that's considered egregious sin. I'm laughing because my sins make me who I am and have brought me to repentance. Those sins, first of all, we all sin all the time. And the bigger the sin, the more humble you get. So I'm actually very grateful for my sins because I can remember how low I've gotten and that I need Christ. So you want to shame people for being gay or for being an alcoholic or a drug person or whatever it is. Pick your sin that you think is egregious. And the bottom line is we are all sinners all the time, all the time. And that's what brings us to the church. We're there to be healed, right? So to shame people for their sins is just like throwing stones at the prostitute when you don't look at your own life. And I'm talking for women. We want single women in. I just feel like there's very few of us that are converting. And this is what I'm noticing is there's this harlot type of shaming. So if you're watching this, I'm very proud of what is taken to get me to the church, how much I've searched for the church, and how much wonderful tools you receive when you come into the church and you can start healing. And you get the tool of thick skin to push other people off that don't understand or accept you or what brought you there, and they don't think of your life as precious, and they're insecure. So they shame you in order to feel better about themselves because they can't accept that they're sinners too. Right? It's really funny. A lot of these Orthodox people think they're better than everybody else that's not Orthodox. And that blows me away too. Yes, we have the correct faith, but we didn't do anything to deserve it. I don't know why we made it in or how our brains were able to accept this information, but I certainly didn't do anything. It was a gift. And I think people outside the church a lot of people outside the church have a better heart than me. And on that last day, they're going to be first in line and I'm going to be after them because I'm still doing a lot of crap. So there's ladies, what I've noticed is when you get in there, you will feel sort of a sense of superiority. And it's okay because you're still you. And other people outside the church, we don't know how to judge them. It's not any of our business, but God will do the right thing. So we don't have to worry about it. It's really just you and your walk with God. That's it. That's it. We don't have to worry about anybody else, but we do have to take the persecution. We have to feel these ugly things around us. And that's part of it, I think. I think there's an idea that once you get into the church, you are, at home, you are safe, you are protected, everyone loves you. Yes and no. Yes and no. You are home. You are in the right faith. You will meet wonderful people that will become your family, and you will also have people in your family that are not so supportive. So it's very important to protect your heart and to protect your life and to keep it close to you. And only share it with people that are worthy, right? This is probably your spiritual father. My spiritual father, I'm very, very blessed. He's just a wonderful, wonderful person. Just wonderful. Salvific. This is next level therapy stuff. It's not therapy. It's literal healing. So we do have that, but there are real concerns outside of that as well. So I guess I'm going to end it with that. And so to the women who are watching, if you're debating on converting by yourself and you're scared, I wanted to say you are so worthy of being an Orthodox Christian, and you're in the right place. However you come into the church, exactly as you are, with whatever color your hair is, with however many cats you have, with however old you are, with as many children as you do or do not have, with whatever you've done in the past, however sinful you think you are, whatever addictions you have, you are in the right place. And you have found home. And you're going to be around people that don't see that. And that is okay, because there are others like me in the church with you. And I support you completely. And I'm so happy if you are considering becoming an Orthodox convert, because this is the only place and the right place for us to be. And you can do it. It is wonderful. Keep your head up, keep your chin up. You're not weird. You're normal. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. God made you like you are and put you through experiences to bring you to this exact place, which is the most wonderful place. And it's like you're accepting a huge pot of gold when you become Orthodox. And that is correct. So you're doing the right thing. And it's a wonderful thing to learn how to stand tall amongst persecution. when you're so vulnerable and you're new and you're feeling judgment and criticism and shame, to watch yourself stand tall and to keep your head up and know that you are pursuing Christ is one of the most wonderful things you could do for yourself. Know that there are other women like us. Know that you are trailblazing, and women will see you do it and they may follow. And we need each other. And so welcome. And yeah, nothing ultimately matters other than following Christ. And this is the way we do it. So ladies, I love you. Please come into the church. Message me if you have any questions. I'm so proud that if you are even thinking about becoming Orthodox and these questions are normal, the concerns are normal, and you can do it anyway. All right. Bye, ladies.